help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnant on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Josh Hinnant.
Josh Hinnant here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Back from the weekend. We are with you on a Monday night. Sixers are back in action, of course, minus Joel Embiid. Where does the team go going forward? Well, Austin Kreller, Sixers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. He will join me coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Also, we'll do a bit of a first look at the Super Bowl a little bit later in the hour, just because of the fact that, you know, it's going to be a crazy week, right? We're going to be diving all over the place with sports news this week. The NBA trade deadline is Thursday. Flyers return tomorrow night. No game night tomorrow night. I'll be filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash from 2 to 6 on 97.3 ESPN. But we got to get into the Embiid stuff, because as the weekend went on and we finally got some semi-news on Joel Embiid, that he's going to get surgery, the team will not make any official determinations until what is basically going to be tomorrow night. All right. It's starting to look like, and I hate to be that guy, but I got to be that guy for this conversation. It's starting to look like Embiid's season is over. And I understand that they're holding out hope. You know, Woj's ESPN NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, his report that, hey, you know, they're holding the door open for his return. I'm telling you guys right now, there's two problems I have with all of this, okay? Number one, I am not a medical doctor, and I did not say it at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I feel pretty comfortable saying that if you go back and watch that injury that he sustained in the Warriors game last Tuesday, his knee hyperextended in a different way than would have been a meniscus injury. Look, I'm not going to say Nick Nurse is lying, because he is not a doctor either. But I'm telling you guys right here, right now, if you just extend your leg, all right, just, you know, if you're driving, please don't do anything crazy. But if you extend your leg and feel behind your knee, that is not your meniscus. That is the direction the knee bent when he got landed on. So what we're literally doing is we are saying that a guy has sustained an injury in a direction that the meniscus should not have an injury to. So again, we already have the spin going on. I don't know why I'm the only person bringing this up. I can't be the either I'm the only one who thought of this, which is hard for me to believe, or everyone is just repeating the talking points they're told to say. Frankly, I'm very offended that we live in a society that can't think for themselves. Okay? We're just supposed to believe every single article, website. You know, for example, we had the trivia question going on earlier in the Sports Bash. I found an article. I went through every name on that list. Somebody finds another article. They don't verify the names on the list. Okay. We have to verify these things. So how are we sure that what is even being said about Embiid adds up? That's number one. Number two, let me ask all of you this in all sincerity. Does anyone really believe that if Joel Embiid is getting surgery, that he is going to be back anytime soon? The answer is going to be no. Because even if it is a routine surgery, even if it is not a big deal surgery, whatever verbiage they want to use, routine procedure, they want to say something like, these procedures get done every day. It doesn't matter. Surgery is surgery. There are everyday people who don't get surgery done because it will take them out of work. And they are afraid that it could jeopardize their professional livelihood. So if there are everyday people who refuse to get surgeries done that are routine, in one day, out one day, no stay over, none of that stuff, same day in and out procedures, and those people are worried about it taking them out of work, how am I supposed to believe that Joel Embiid's knee, after the way he reacted and the, for lack of a better term, generic, ambivalent, what adjective you want for the Sixers right this now? Whatever it is, the reality is that they don't know what's wrong with his knee. They're going to do surgery so they can see what exactly is going on in there. And if you're opening up the knee or any part of the human body enough that you got to open it up to see what's going on in there, then guess what that means? Something is wrong. Josh Hennick here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Maybe I'm the only person who's willing to ask these questions or say these things. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst talked about the Sixers' options moving forward earlier today on ESPN's First Take.
Depending on how this comes out of the surgery, does Philly, try to go to acquire a center who can be a stopgap fill-in, or do they sit on their salary cap space? Because the Sixers, if they wanted to, could just sort of stand pat, try to play out the season, do the best they can, and they'd have over $50 million in cap space to go into the market this summer and improve to be ready for an Embiid return. But if they feel like he could come back, they could make stopgap moves where they could hold maybe their seat a little bit higher than that 6. They could maybe get in that top 4. So when he comes back, they got a better chance.
So you heard what Windhorst said. There's basically two sides to this conversation. It's the Sixers could just stand pat, hold on to their expiring contracts, and go into the offseason and add people, whether it's through trades or through the draft. And I've heard a lot of people who cover the NBA say that some teams may be more willing to make trades on draft night than they are at the deadline, because by draft night, you'll know exactly what pick is who and may who be going in free agency. But I got to tell you guys, if you stand pat, do we really believe the Sixers as currently constructed are going to be able to be a top 6 team for the postseason? I'm just putting it out there. Do we think the Sixers as currently constructed, without adding anyone, are going to be able to stay out of the play-in tournament? Sixers right now are 30-18. So let's make the assumption that Embiid is going to miss significant time. They've already played 48 games. This is an 82-game schedule. That means there are 34 more games to go. So let's make some wild assumption that of the final games remaining on their schedule, Embiid, let's say, misses 30 of them. Let's go real extreme. The next 30 games on the schedule, Embiid's going to miss. Do we believe the Sixers are going to win half of those games? Can the 76ers go 15-15 without Embiid? I'm not sure they can. And it's not because I don't have faith in Nick Nurse or Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris or any of that. But I'm just saying, look at what they got coming up. Before we even get to the All-Star break, tonight's the Mavericks. Wednesday is the Warriors. Then you got some quote-unquote winnable games against Atlanta and Washington. Then you got to play Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be tough. You come home against Miami. They're a tough out. The Knicks, they're really good. Cavs again after you come out of the All-Star break. Then Milwaukee and Boston. Good luck with that. Easy game, Charlotte. But then at Dallas, at Brooklyn, not easy. Later in March, you got back-to-backs at New York, at Milwaukee, and then a few weeks later, you got another West Coast trip at Phoenix, at the Lakers, at the Clippers, at the Kings. Sacramento, to be exact. Home against the Clippers, at the Cavs. Where are the 15 wins coming from? This is why I don't know if this team should stand pat at the deadline. Because if your goal is to make the postseason, then you got to get something. You got all these expiring contracts. Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington. Are you going to trade all those guys? Of course not. But could you trade maybe one or two of those guys with a first-round pick and maybe get somebody? Certainly possible. I mean, we know the Bulls are dropping very quickly because Zach LaVine is done for the year. And the Bulls themselves, they're 8 games behind you in the standings. The Bulls are very quickly going to fall out of the play-in tournament. Could getting a guy like DeMar DeRozan help this team at least win 15 or 16 games coming up? He certainly might. Does that solve all your problems? No. But if your goal is to hold out hope for Embiid to return, you got to do something. And that's where when I look at what Brian Windhorst was saying, I think the worst thing to do is to just sit on your hands and not do anything. Now, again, if you're changing direction, if after Embiid surgery tomorrow, you come out of the surgery like, you know what, he's out for 4 to 6 months. Then you're at a point where you're saying, okay, we gotta implode. We're gonna tank the rest of the year. We're just gonna hit the reset button. But even then, you don't own your draft pick. Think about it. It's not as simple as people are making this out to be. The Sixers are in a no-win situation without Embiid. And if I'm the 76ers, I got to be realistic about my odds. Because as of right here, right now, in the Eastern Conference, you got to ask 2 questions. 1, do we have enough firepower to survive without Embiid for 4 to 6 weeks? If the answer is no, you got to make a move at the deadline. If your goal is not worrying about the postseason this year and hit the reset button for next year, you still make a move, because now what you do is you potentially trade either some of those expiring contracts, or you make a move to put yourself in a position to be better next offseason. Because if you sit in your hands, you'll get into the play-in tournament. If you survive that, you're playing the Celtics in the first round. Or maybe, the Bucks? I don't know if you're beating either one of those teams right now. Josh Hennick here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Seattle. We'll talk with Austin Krell, our Sixers insider, coming up on the other side. Plus more of your texts coming up a little bit later this hour. Dan and EHT and more at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
Sunday, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs meet in Super Bowl 58. Hi, this is Scott Graham. Join me and the rest of our Westwood One crew from Las Vegas for all the action. The Chiefs are trying to defend their title and win a third Lombardi trophy in the last 5 seasons. But the Niners are hoping to avenge their loss in Super Bowl 54. If it's Super Bowl 58, it's right here
on 97.3 ESPN.
Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. Your certified GAF elite contractors. Champion-exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first.
Okay, everyone gather around. I have some exciting. Running her shoe factory, Kendra talks the talk and walks the walk. We're switching to green energy. She needs a biotech consultant to erase her carbon footprint. All operations will net zero emissions. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
Ernest & Son Meat Market in Brigantine has the reputation as your big game headquarters, featuring a box of mouth-watering Fearless subs for up to 15 people for $80. Never go out of style for your big game party. Ernest & Son Meat Market delivers your big game trays, buffalo wings, meatballs, homemade sausage, and subs. Ernest & Son Meat Market is open 7 days a week from 9 to 4. Long story short, order early and call now. 266-1588. Ernest & Son Meat Market. Are you ready for it? Big game, catering, delivery, or pickup.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough. Our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Let's dig deeper into what's going on with the Sixers moving forward in the aftermath of the news of Joel Embiid. Although we'll know more news tomorrow, as Austin Krell has documented in his coverage over at 97.3 ESPN.com and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and at NBA Krell over on Twitter. Austin joins us now for the Sixers tip off tonight here on 97.3 ESPN. Austin, welcome in. How you doing today?
Not bad, Josh. How you doing?
Doing all right. So here's where I want to start with you, because you wrote the extensive article when you spoke to the Dr. Salvo from Rothman Orthopedic. And I want to give away all the details so people actually read it. But from your writing that article and with all the news that has happened in the last 72 hours, what is the biggest takeaway that you personally have as someone who's covering this team every day and talks to a lot of people about this Embiid situation?
Well, I think the biggest problem is first and foremost, it seems that there's a miscommunication of some sort with the messaging. First you have Shams Charania saying that it's a torn meniscus, and then he retracts that report within an hour or so. That was on, I think, Saturday night, or maybe Thursday night, sorry. And then last night, Woj breaks that he's having surgery. He says that they're going to have a procedure to repair it. And then the Sixers statement says that it's a corrective procedure to address the injury. The problem there is repair in this particular case of the meniscus implies that they're going to go the route of having surgery to stitch it together. And therefore that's a better long-term prognosis, but it would mean that Joel's season is over. And when you see what the Sixers say, it's to address it. They're not saying specifically to repair it, that they're leaving the door open to a bunch of different possibilities, which is intentional, because I don't think anyone truly knows what path you're traveling until the doctors go into that knee and really take a look at it. So what happens there is that it's a domino effect. You have these people on the internet doctors, that are well known, who have a good track record, but they're all running with the belief that it's going to be a repair now. And so they're all suggesting that season-ending injury, this is going to be a 6 to 9 month timeline. And I don't even think that necessarily has to be the case or is accurate. It's just a product of people not quite being sure of what to say about this whole thing. But I do know this: with the injury that Shams Charania is reporting that it's a flap tear, that is not something that would typically require a stitching together or a suture. That is something that you would do by trimming arthroscopically of that piece of the knee. And that means that you can come back in 1 to 2 months. I think it's more, somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks is probably, in most cases, the more likely outcome. So I think right now it's just the doctors have to get in there in the next couple days, determine what exactly needs to be done to get this knee fixed. And then we will have a better picture of the outlook for the rest of this season and beyond. So, everyone wants the information right now. I don't think there's a clear picture of exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we're not going to sit here and say whether Shams was right or wrong, because obviously he deleted that tweet after he put it out there. So this isn't the first time he's had to do that. But I will point to one of the things that you talked with Dr. Salva in the article, which is you just mentioned, you got to open up, see what's going on in there. And Austin, I had said before you came on, anytime you're saying, I got to see what's going on in there, no matter what, he's going to miss time. The Sixers got to operate as if he's not coming back by the end of February. He's going to be out for some significant amount of time. Correct.
It's an amount of time that is significant enough to where, this team should be looking at how do we, can we stay in the playoff picture and not slide into the play-in tournament? Because at that point, the question becomes, well, then what are we really fighting for here? If, are we really going to bring Joel back to fight for a playoff spot, 7 or 8 seed, and then play the Celtics in the first round. Is that really worth our time? So, I think right now their goal should be like, how do we stay above the play-in line and avoid, a first-round matchup where we would be significant underdogs. Like if they're playing Cleveland in the first round or New York in the first round, or even if they can somehow manage to get the four seed or stay where they are 5, I think you would take your odds. You would say, we like our chances of beating Cleveland or New York in the first round. We don't care that we're 6th or whatever. We can do that. So I think that is their mindset right now. But it's certainly a fall from grace where they were just 2 weeks ago.
Now, you mentioned about trying to fight to stay in the playoff hunt here. Is the team as currently constructed capable of doing that? Or does Daryl Morey need to use some of these assets to get a little more ammunition at the deadline?
I think you needed to do something because you have this rare opportunity where you have these expiring salaries and Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, and so on and so forth. And those guys become, valuable trade chips because they're just filler. So there's a team that has a good piece out there that is looking to just get picks back. You say, okay, well, here's some salary to match that. We'll give you some picks. Let's just get this guy in our building and get some reinforcements here. Because the reality is, it's bad. I mean, they looked awful against the Nets on Saturday, but that isn't a fair, I think, a picture of this team because they have so many guys out right now, in addition to Joel, that they're going to get better as they get pieces back, as they get healthier. They're going to, win. They're going to find ways to win games. That tends to, the role players tend to rise a little bit when they have to cover up more ground over a longer period of time when a guy is out. So, they'll find ways to get back into this thing and start to reel off a little bit of a streak here, but they got to get guys back and healthy first. And, then we'll see really what they're capable of with or without another trade chip. But right now you have to operate as if, okay, what is Joel's timeline? He can come back this season. All right, we got to find a way to keep this thing afloat and get ourselves a decent position come playoff time. And you do that because you do that by adding a piece. Because let's face it, Tyrese is as great as skilled as he is, and as much as good as he's become blossomed this year, he's undersized. Teams are going to blitz him in the screens. They're going to try to push him back towards the middle of the floor and make it hard for him to find the open man. And then also there isn't a ton of shooting gravity on this team, so they're gonna say, well, we'll dare you, Kelly Oubre, to shoot this. We'll dare Daniel House to shoot this. We're good with that. So right now they got to find a way to add just if not a star, a high enough level role player where you have some real reinforcements on this offensive end of the court.
Talk with our NBA insider, Austin Crowell from 97.3 ESPN.com at NBA Crowell on Twitter X, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers Mavs tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. The game. But before we get to the game, Austin, you mentioned about Tyrese Maxey. Is there somebody out there that the Sixers can acquire, legitimately acquire, not like random dude on social media who ran the NBA trade simulator and made a trade himself? I mean, who is a tangible player that you would say, hey, if the Sixers add this guy, he can get them an extra couple wins without Embiid on the floor?
I would have said a week ago that Bogdan Bogdanovic in Atlanta was a really good candidate. They've rattled off, I think, 3 or 4 wins in a row. They are now only 5 games under 500. They have the play-in picture, quite clear for them. And they might say, well, why should we sell off pieces when, we feel like we're not really afraid of anybody in the play-in, and then we can find our way into a series against Boston or Milwaukee. And, I don't think, I think they're more inclined to maybe stand pat, or maybe they have to trade DeJounte Murray, but other than that, stand pat. So, I mean, maybe you look at Detroit and you say Bojan Bogdanovic, who is, they're 6-43. They're not going anywhere. They would be best suited to trade some of their valuable veterans and recoup some draft capital. So maybe that's a candidate right now. I also think that the reality is this: there are probably guys between now and Thursday who we don't even realize are available, who will be made available. Teams, I don't think every team yet has had their meetings and has come to the conclusion that it's time to pull the plug on this operation and sell now. So I think right now it's still a waiting game, but there's a lot of smoke out there about this guy and that guy. I think, it's pretty clear who the bad teams are. And I don't see a ton of guys there who I'm like, yeah, this is a really good fit. And this contract makes sense for this team.
You mentioned about the contract. I wanted to ask you about that because the Sixers obviously have some expiring contracts. So for someone like you, how do you balance between saying, hey, we have the potential of having all of this free cap space this upcoming summer for trades and free agency versus, hey, we got to put ourselves in a position to not waste an opportunity if we can go to the postseason and make a run?
So I think that this is where people have to like really reimagine what they think about free agency. Cause like big free agents typically don't move anymore. They typically sign a contract, an extension with their current team. They want to trade, they get asked for a trade, it happens. But like Jalen Brunson's the last real star to change teams in free agency. And that was because, the Dallas was not willing to pay him what he had wanted in the regular season. So he bet on himself and got a massive payday in New York. I think you have to approach not just this deadline, but free agency coming up with like, yeah, the pool of free agents is not great, but that doesn't mean that guys won't be available in trades. Because with the new CBA coming in, teams are going to be thinking we don't have enough to really stay relevant here, and our ownership doesn't feel like paying this big tax bill. We don't feel like operating under the constraints of a second tax apron and making our lives harder. So we're just going to sell off this talent now. Maybe teams don't make that decision by the Thursday, but maybe they're making it, later this year in July, in June, whatever. So just because the free agent pool of the upcoming class isn't that deep and robust does not mean that there aren't candidates available or that will be available. We just don't know who they are yet.
When you talk about guys who may or may not be available, putting that all aside, what do you think is what do you think Daryl Morey's short and long-term goal is? Because we know this guy, he's not someone who sits on his hands, right? Daryl Morey is not a passive general manager. He's always been an active guy. So what do you think him and the Sixers are thinking about right now with the state of this team?
I would say that I think there's a chance that they look at the backup center market. So I just think right now you're overtaxing Paul Reed. Not that he can't play or that he's like strained by his level of role right now, but that's just not good for the player that he is to be used in the way that he's being used and starter minutes and whatnot. I certainly don't think Mo Bamba has been consistent enough this season to warrant being, the backup center for this team consistently. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if they look at the center market there. I think they need shooting. I think it's like very simple. They need shooting. I mean, who on this team has been consistent from the perimeter this year, for this group? The answer, if they take it a long time to think about it, it's because the answer is not really anybody. Maybe Tyrese, although he's been very up and down lately. They haven't had much shooting this year. So I think you need to add a volume guy there.
A couple more for Austin Krell, our Sixers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com, joining us here on game night on 97.3 ESPN. Mavs in town tonight. We know that Tobias Harris was a game time decision. What is your expectation for a Sixers team that is already a bit shorthanded tonight?
So Tobias, I'm trying to check that right now. To me, it sounded like he was going to try to play. That's what kind of Nick hinted during the pregame presser. He's been dealing with an illness separate from the illness he had previously on the road trip. They're going to need all hands on deck. This team is very short on their on what they have available to them tonight. Having said that, I mean, look, I said this before. I said I've written them off before games before, and they've surprised me. It's very possible that they come out here. You can win on any given night. Maybe Tyrese goes off. I will say that it does help them a lot that Derek Lively for Dallas is out. He's a rim protector. He's a vertical spacer, so he's a lob threat on offense. They might have an easier time getting to the rim this game, and that might leave Tyrese with a little bit more of an advantage than he had last game. But on paper, this figures to be a very tough one.
Moving forward, as we get closer to the deadline, outside the Sixers, Austin, do you anticipate anything wild or crazy happening? Or do you think it's going to be a status quo deadline?
I think they'll make a move, maybe two, but I wouldn't be betting on, high impact star level trades.
So no super big names, but maybe somebody who is a little under the radar but still has value.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. If you're thinking they're going to get somebody, if anyone's thinking they're going to get somebody like Donovan Mitchell at the deadline, I would say, maybe don't wake up from that dream is what I would say. Maybe sleep through Thursday.
Right.
But there is a chance. I think there's a very high chance that they say, we got to take advantage of these expiring. Let's get somebody who's a lesser, who is a very good role player, who has years left on his deal, and get them in here to add some reinforcements.
Well, for example, I know that, earlier on the Sports Bash, Ryan Rothstein and Mike Gill talk about, what if the Sixers went out and got Lauri Markkanen? Are you saying someone like that is off the table?
I think I would say someone like that is off the table. Okay. I would say maybe like a Kelly Olynyk is somebody who would make sense on a variety of fronts for them. If Atlanta is entertaining Bogdanovich calls, that could be an option too. But I definitely don't think you're going to be seeing anybody coming in here who has all-star on their resume.
All right. Keep following him at NBA Krell on the Twitter X platform. Check out all of his Sixers coverage over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Sixers Mavs tonight, 7 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Austin, thanks again for calling in.
Thank you.
Josh Hennick here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN. Great stuff there from Austin. Just hit on a couple items that he said on. So he said at the end there, don't expect a big name. So, for example, the guys on the Sports Bash, Mike Gill, Ryan Rothstein, earlier on 97.3 ESPN over at the Ocean Casino Resort, the Gallery Bar, booking games, they were saying Lauri Markkanen. What Austin is saying, don't expect that. Also, what he's saying is a guy like I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan. That guy's off the table, right? He's saying maybe a guy of a smaller caliber. Now, I know that's not maybe what Sixer fans want to hear, but you heard what Austin said as well. He said multiple times in our conversation that the Sixers need more shooting, that they've been running Paul Reed too much at center. So is there a way they can get maybe two players, one guy who can play some of those big man minutes and another guy who could add a little shooting to this team? It's certainly a possibility, right? It's certainly something to think about. I'm not saying what they should or shouldn't do necessarily, because I was saying to Paul, I told you guys earlier on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennick hanging out with you on a Monday night. I was saying earlier that for me, I understand the Sixers have a balancing act, as I asked Austin, between, hey, we're not punting on this season, but we can't go all in on this season. And I think that's where it's a tightrope. It's a balancing act. Before we hit the break, I did want to get the NFL breaking news involving the Eagles out to everyone. So Roger Goodell just announced that the Philadelphia Eagles will be playing in the first ever game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And it's not just any home game. This is going to be Friday night, week 1 of the NFL season. The Eagles are the designated home team. Okay? So what's going to happen, according to what Roger Goodell said and what Adam Schefter is reporting, is the NFL is going to have opening night that Thursday, which usually involves the team that won the Super Bowl. Friday is going to be Eagles versus somebody. Now, the Eagles' home opponents for the 2024 season are as follows: the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders, the Browns, Falcons, Jags, Steelers, Packers, Panthers. So my working theory is the NFL is going to go one of two routes here. Again, personal working theory. I have no inside information. I'm just reading what people are saying on, who are reporting about this. The NFL could go one of two ways. They could take one of the Eagles' NFC East opponents and say, all right, we know that a team like the Cowboys, just use them, or the Steelers or the Packers, these are teams that are international brands, right? If you don't live in America, but you watch the NFL, you know who the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Steelers are. So maybe that is part of the NFL's thing. They'll put the Eagles against a marquee brand in Brazil. I'm leaning to the Cowboys also because the Eagles have to play the NFC East teams twice every year. And let's be realistic. If you are an NFC East opponent of the Eagles, you don't like coming to Philadelphia. I can totally see a Jerry Jones or a John Mara or whoever saying, I don't want to go to Philadelphia. Take my team to Brazil. I don't want to go to Philadelphia. So I can totally see it being a question. Now, the other side of it is, does the NFL worry that if you take away a divisional opponent, how that affects ticket sales for the team's home game? So then do they say, do we take a team on their schedule that maybe people are not going to be, clamoring for tickets for, and we send them with the Eagles down to Brazil? Maybe a team, for example, like the Panthers, right? There's not going to be probably very good next year. That's another theory out there. But as of right now, the Eagles will play one of the following teams in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Friday night of the opening weekend of the season. The Eagles are the announced home team for the matchup. The Eagles' home opponents for 2024, again, are the Cowboys, Giants, Commanders, Browns, Falcons, Jags, Steelers, Packers, Panthers. Personally, if I'm the NFL, I would send either it to be Eagles, Cowboys, or Eagles, Packers. Personally, that's what I would do, because I think that you can sell either one of those teams against the Eagles in Brazil. I think that in an international market, it's about selling the, how you can sell the product. It's not always about the best matchup. So my working theory is Cowboys are the biggest, brand in the NFL. You could send them. Packers, historic brand. You could send them. I don't think the NFL wants to take away Steelers, Eagles, and Philadelphia because you can get a lot of people in the region going to that game. Also, Dallas, Philadelphia, not near each other in terms of distance proximity. So to me, that's my working theory. If I had to predict, like if there were, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure maybe someone's put out odds already of who the Eagles are going to play down there. My working assumption will be when the Philadelphia Eagles play at Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, Brazil, then it's going to be either the Cowboys or the Packers. Again, just my prediction. Also, side note, for the uninitiated, uneducated, Brazil speaks Portuguese, not Spanish. So if you're someone who say, I speak good Spanish, I'm going to be fine. You're wrong. Go get one of those apps that help you learn languages so you can figure out how to speak Portuguese. Because I'm telling you right now, you go down there with Spanish, you're going to be looked at sideways. I'm just telling you. All right. Oh my goodness. Josh Hedrick here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, as far as I know, I have to double check this, so please let me go check it on Pro Football Reference. I think the only Brazilian NFL player is Cairo Santos, the kicker. I think he's the only Brazil player in the NFL. But let me go double check that during the break. I'm just doing that off the top of my head. So I'll give you that information coming up on the other side. Dan EHC, your text and more on the other side, 609-403-0973. Eagles officially losing a home game from next year's schedule. They will not have an extra home game. They will lose a home game due to opening night in Brazil, the first ever NFL Friday night opening weekend game in the NFL's history.
It's Sixers Maverick tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey will be on the arc for three. It's good. He ties it. Maxey with another three.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Here's Burkow with a breakout. Oh, yeah, reverse jam. Portlass, twist, turns, dumps it.
97.3 ESPN.
Okay, 3 more climbers, 7 loggers.
Ted's sustainably sourced logging company is growing a new branch.
What about truck driver contracts?
Which means a new HR manager will be the first hire to fall.
Then we'll need to staff up the warehouse.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-838-4715 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-838-4715. That's 800-838-4715. What do you have to lose? Call 800-838-4715. Again, 800-838-4715.
Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
They are an elite division in charge of Jersey's most precious cargo. Okay, team, let's move. The New Jersey Lottery Scratch-Offs division presents new precious metal scratch-offs.
Jerry, this movie trailer music is giving me goosebumps.
I know, right? Bronze, silver, gold, and platinum scratch-offs with top prizes up to $1 million.
Now playing at lottery retailers near you.
Go, go, go. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Rated PT for play today.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high temperature performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through March 4th, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge or Edge High Mileage Full Synthetic and an oil filter for $36.99, only at AutoZone.
Claim based on Sequence 3 H-test versus API SP test limits.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
My wife and I both, we ended up mildly sick for a few months, and the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navive.
Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use. I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E.
Hi, this is Brighton Richards from Apex East Roofing. You know, the blonde-haired girl in the pink truck. If you've been having issues with your roof from all the rain over the last few weeks, or if you're just worried about leaks from upcoming storms this winter, give us a call. We can be at your house within 24 to 48 hours for an estimate and install a new roof within 1 to 7 business days. We also do emergency tarping and repairs, as well as siding and gutters.
Get a price on your roof in 30 seconds at ApexEastRoofing.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, so do a little house cleaning before we wrap up the hour. First of all, Cairo Santos is the only player from Brazil playing in the NFL. But the problem with Cairo Santos is he is under contract with the Bears until 2027. So unless the Bears are going to trade him, how ridiculous is this? The only Brazilian player in the NFL is not one of the teams the Eagles could play this year. They have no home games on their schedule against the Bears. So the NFL literally can't even get the only Brazilian player to Brazil for the game. That's so poor. That's so bad. It's like, hey, we're going to Brazil for the first time. Cairo Santos is like, I'm the only Brazilian player here. The NFL's like, sorry, you didn't make the list. Like, if you're the NFL, do you go to the Bears and say, please trade your kicker to this team so we can send it to Brazil? Now, that would be a conspiracy. Also, Chris Vanini of The Athletic reports, for those of you out there who are interested in what is going on with WrestleMania in Philadelphia this year, WrestleMania will start an hour earlier this year on Saturday and Sunday. The WWE tells Chris Vanini in his podcast, the Getting Over Wrestling Pod. Also, a WWE NXT Stand and Deliver has been moved up 1 hour to noon on Saturday. So if you're someone who plans to go to WrestleMania or WWE NXT that weekend of April 6th and 7th in Philadelphia, know that everything is starting an hour earlier. So some interesting news for you guys out there. All right, as promised, I want to get Dan and EHT's text message 609-403-0973. He chimed in earlier and says, this is maybe a blessing for the Sixers for the first time Embiid can be rested and get this injury over with for the playoffs instead of his usual getting hurt during the playoffs. DNEHT, I appreciate the optimism. I appreciate the positive spin. My only concern with that is if Embiid is out for a long time, what's his cardio going to be like? We know Embiid has had a problem in the past with being the most conditioned, well in shape cardiovascular athlete. So, if he misses too much time, there's a chance that he might not be available as many minutes as you need him to win in the playoffs. Like, if Embiid misses all of February and all of March, and he plays, 7 games in April, I think it is. Well, do we think 7 games is enough to get Embiid up to speed for the postseason? I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just asking the question out loud. Do we believe that that is enough? Personally, I don't think so. I don't think that's enough. That's just me. But it's a good thought by Danny HT. Maybe there is a chance. Joey D. and Ventnor chimes in and says, Jeffrey Lurie is probably not happy they get an extra home game, but nope, it's in Brazil. Yeah, Joe, it's a good question. Who is mad in the NFL front office at the Eagles that they're making that team go to Brazil? Like, why can't it be the Jags extra home game? Why can't it's got to be the Eagles are probably like, yeah, we're gonna get an extra home game next year, extra day to make money. And Lee's like, nope, we're going to Brazil. That's a great point by Joey D. Who is more mad, Lori at the NFL or someone in the NFL office is mad at the Eagles? So is this the Eagles' penance for doing the tush push for brotherly shove? We can't take the play away from you, but we'll take a home game away from you. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card to dine like a rock star at Gin Ricky's, the Roy Social Hall, and Wild Honey Barbecue for just $25. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. Let the fun be gin.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Dog parents are loving Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend Premium Dog Food.
The way she acts and the way she moves, it's just so much better. And she's like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a freeze-dried raw food made with 0 artificial preservatives, so it's naturally shelf-stable with no mess, freezer, or fridge required. Plus, it's full of premium turkey, beef, salmon, and meat your dog will love.
We started with Nature's Blend. She's happy. She sleeps well. She's energetic. I am just delighted with this product.
When given the choice, Nature's Blend and Amazon's #1 bestseller in dry dog food, 29 out of 30 dogs chose Nature's Blend first.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of delicious beef liver treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.